On this episode of For the Win, our show comes to you today in 3 acts. We start with sports. Robert Kraft arrested for soliciting prostitution. We'll give you full, complete coverage of everything you need to know about that. What's coming next for the guy who is the centerpiece of what was a really big and in-depth case that's really worth exploring. Ben Simmons talked some trash to Jusuf Nurkic on the basketball court. Definitely pronounced that wrong. Anthony Davis enjoying his last days as New Orleans Pelican. We'll talk to Hudson Alexander for the second act of our show about an insane New Music Friday and your complete guide to the Oscars. All right, so yeah, we got part 1 is our sports part. Part 2 is our New Music Friday with Hudson Alexander conversation. So that's actually going to get a chance for a full hearing on the show today, which it's going to be nice for him. But our third act will be a guide to the Oscars. So yeah, first we start with sports, obviously. As this coming in, as New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft, one of the most powerful men in American football, was charged today on 2 counts of soliciting prostitution connection to a recent law enforcement bust on massage parlors in Florida that, according to law enforcement, were used for prostitution and human trafficking. Yeah, so this wasn't just a situation where you have a guy, Robert Kraft, who wants to call, for example, an adult escort. No, he was going to probably one of the worst places to do this, which is a place where there's actually real human trafficking going on, because I don't know, he just wanted to add some more intrigue into it. It's not cool stuff to think about. The news comes after a few weeks after, obviously, the Patriots won their 6th Super Bowl, and days after Kraft appeared at an NBA All-Star game. He's kind of in the cool NBA era. I mean, I know he helped Meek Mill get freed or something. But yeah, this is certainly showing a darker side to him. I mean, you wonder how many people of his ilk, the wealthiest people, who knows what they do behind closed doors. And this is, again, it's another example of it. In a press conference on Monday morning, the Jupiter Police Chief Friday morning, Jupiter Police Chief Daniel Kerr said Kraft was charged with 2 counts of soliciting prostitution and that a warrant for his arrest is with the state's attorney's office and will be sent to Kraft's home in Massachusetts. Kerr said there's video evidence of Kraft involved in sex acts at a massage parlor on 2 occasions. Now that just crosses into a whole another level from disturbing to gross. Kerr said there is video evidence of, the sex acts happening. In total, though, 25 people were charged with soliciting prostitution at the Orchids of Asia spa in Jupiter. And we're going to get to that. Orchids of Asia already just sounds so shady. Ugh. I just want to shiver a little bit. But yeah, so that is, we're going to get really into the full depth of the case in a moment, but first we'll just give the top facts you need to know here. Answering questions about the fees at Orchids of Asia, Jupiter Police Detective Andrew Sharp, the lead detective on the case, said the fee was for 30 minutes was $59 or $79 for an hour. He did not specify what Kraft paid, and he said that Kraft was actually driven to the spa. According to public records, Kraft owns a home at the Breakers, which is a luxury resort in Palm Beach, which is 20 miles south of Jupiter. So it was a pretty easy, he went to vacation down there and could easily just go solicit sex from people who are forced to do it against their will. And I mean, there are stories of people owning the McDonald's across the way and serving people who would come in with their heads down, women who would come in with their heads down, just saying, thank you. I wouldn't say thank you, just looked like they were deeply and severely in trouble, and now we're finding out a lot more about what's going on there on that front. So yeah, a statement issued to the media outlets, a spokesperson for Kraft said, "We categorically deny that Kraft engaged in any illegal activity. Because it's a judicial matter, we will not be commenting further." According to tcpalm.com, the investigation shut down spas that ran from Palm Beach County to Orange County. And again, spa, obviously, euphemism. It's not a massage place. It's a place where some other things happen. Of those 10, half were in Indian River County. Speaking about the cases of Indian River, police said the women lived at the spas and worked as prostitutes. Another 4 spas, according to a separate TC Palm report, were in Martin County. A 5th case was in the town of Jupiter. So yeah, this is a big, wide scale wide-scale story that is very, very, very disturbing, and it's something that, I mean, it really goes beyond sports. It's not sure, there's going to be NFL sideshows to it, like what happens to the Patriots if Rob Kraft gets arrested. What will he continue to own the team? Yada, yada, yada. But the most important thing here is the climate and culture that is happening in probably Florida and probably God knows where else. Like, you got Robert Kraft, you got R. Kelly going on, you got Catholic Church meeting going on all this weekend, and it just shows you things are incredibly, incredibly rough right now. It's not good for the men trying to gain back the mantle of respectability after Me Too. And great quote here from Diana Moskowitz and Chris Thompson in a Deadspin article. Moskowitz, sorry. The success and prominence of the Patriots have made Kraft one of the most powerful people in the sport, and he's taken on a significant role in the league's labor negotiations. And despite 2015, when Kraft wielded his weight in opposition to the NFL's league leadership, after Tom Brady and a couple of staffers were accused of deflating game balls, leading to the team being docked a pair of draft picks and fined, he has more often than not given key vocal support to the league's alternately boring and embarrassing commissioner, Roger Goodell. And that's going to be interesting to see how he's going to handle it. And we'll be following that story as well. It's just like, how is Roger going to react? How is the NFL going to react? Don't think they've said anything so far, but that is going to be probably the most interesting part. Another thing that happened, though, is as the group of law enforcement agencies on Florida's Treasure Coast announced that the arrest warrants had been issued for, again, there's 173 people on charges including human trafficking, racketeering, and deriving support from prostitution. The local press conference announcing the arrest, there was an unexpected question raised repeatedly. You knew someone about and this is again, there were many people like kind of asking about this at the same time. So before it was announced that Robert Kraft was caught up in this situation, there were reporters asking when this bust was announced of the original security. Of the original parlors, and when they announced it was being shut down, there were multiple questions being asked repeatedly about, are there any NFL players or any NFL people being involved in this? It turns out it was Robert Kraft. So see if we can play this clip for you in a second, but no, it's an hour, so we're not going to be able to play that for you. Yeah, so that is, shout out to Vero Beach, actually getting the job done. Vero Beach Police Department, everyone else there involved, actually doing some very good work on shutting that down. All right. Yeah, here's another angle of the story about just how big this situation really is. As we know, Kraft was arrested, but the Jupiter Police Department first announced that Kraft had been charged through several law enforcement agencies in the area. Also held press conferences to discuss what really had been a months-long investigation into sex trafficking rings across several counties, as we mentioned, in South Florida. News first broke Tuesday when Jupiter PD released a 17-page arrest affidavit for Hua Zhang and Li Wang, the two women charged with 4 counts of prostitution-related offenses. Cops started looking into the Orchids of Asia Day Spa way back in October 2018. And that's when they recorded video of 26 men paying for a variety of sex acts in January when Kraft allegedly visited the spa. So that was, again, right in the middle of football season, interestingly enough. Jupiter Police released a list of 25 people charged with solicitation today, including Kraft. Martin County Sheriff William Snyder announced the bust on Tuesday. Deadspin reports, identifying 5 massage parlors that officials surveilled. He said it was a human trafficking case and that massage parlor workers were being treated as victims, not as paid sex workers. So yeah, these were, again, this is the most important thing to realize here. There were people these people were being forced to do these sexual acts against their will. And that's probably one of the most disturbing things about this situation. It's not, I mean, it definitely would be a more different scenario if he called, like, again, as I said before in the beginning of the show, kind of an adult, an adult, like, hooker or something like that, or someone who was paid, some sort of an escort type person. But people were, like, being carried around in the back of trucks and all that, and just horrifically abused and traumatized. Like, that is a different, like, that's knowing that, and obviously, I mean, I think any reasonable person would look at people and know they're not doing it because they want to. They're not doing it because they want to be sex workers. They're doing it because they're being trafficked into it. And the fact that Robert Kraft still chose to do that is why this episode is called what it is, which is Robert Kraft is scumbag. Because who would come out and do that to these people who are being absolutely victimized in just a disgusting, disgusting way? So, yeah, Snyder outlined, this is again the Martin County Sheriff, William Snyder, outlined a transcontinental human trafficking operation. The tentacles go from tentacles of this go from here to New York to China and Florida, from here to Orange County. Officials seized $2 to $3 million in assets, or between $2 and $3 million in assets, and traced the contours of an allegedly extensive money laundering operation. Women were allegedly moved from location to location within a network of spas and were not given access to transportation. The women, all from China, were coerced into graphic sexual activity and very risky behavior. They were given no days off, forced to a service of an estimated 1,500 men a year, without ever seeing much of the money they generated. From Treasure Coast Palm. It was clear that multiple women were working and living inside the spas. They were cooking on the back steps of the business. They were sleeping in the massage parlor on the massage tables. Ugh, that's... And the fact, like, yeah, I mean, the question, I mean, it is a reasonable question, how much could Kraft have known? But someone coming in, I don't know for sure, but pretty confident that not everyone there had the financial stature and publicity of Robert Kraft. And the fact that he realized what was going on here, and he just kept on doing it, or from what we know, I think he only visited this once. He didn't report to the police, didn't help their investigation. Instead, he just continued on soliciting really sex from sex slaves here, which, I mean, I'm pretty sure if I went... I obviously would never do this, but if I was in a situation Robert Kraft was in, I'm pretty sure I'd be able to tell, even as someone who's not very experienced in life, who has not had many years under my belt, that this was what it obviously was, which was a sex opera. Like, this is not a hooker. Like, this is, again, it's a little bit different of someone who's doing this out of their free will, paid sex work, or someone who's a victim. And if you can tell that person is a victim, the fact, again, that you continue to do it makes you a scumbag. End of story. All right, so here's what to expect next from this Robert Kraft case. In a further article by Diana Moskovitz and Kelly Nacky filed in Deadspin, Robert Kraft will be officially charged by prosecutors early next week, according to the Palm Beach County's state attorney's office. Police in Jupiter, Florida announced Friday that they had charged the New England Patriots owner on 2 counts of soliciting prostitution. The charges result from a string of busts on the massage parlors that, according to law enforcement, were used again for prostitution and human trafficking on the state's Treasure Coast. If convicted, Kraft could only face a maximum of 120 days in jail, which is rough. It should be a little higher, in my opinion. 120 days in county jail. The question is, what will happen with his beloved Patriots? What will happen in Boston? I'd love to see what Boston Sports Radio is saying, because they have a notation, a proud history of being incredibly racist, be conservative, and just awful. So I wonder. I'm thinking after this show, I'm going to check out what certain shows are up there are saying about this whole Kraft craziness. But it is like there are definitely some football questions in this, and now that we've covered a little, I'm sure we can. Those are going to more answers. Those are going to come out after the legal side has its say of what they're going to do with Kraft. But the question is, and I obviously think the answer should be no here, will the Patriots continue to have, as the owner of their team, a billionaire who has been arrested for literally, again, as he was soliciting prostitution from sex slaves, from sex trafficked women? Absolutely. Again, it's going to be a real question. I think the answer obviously should be no. Awful thing that he did here. It's, again, on a whole nother level. But Mike Edmondson weighed in on this. He's a spokesman for the state attorney's office and said, while the local police have filed charges, his office has yet to